What in the is this?
And I know trading sounds intimidating. Here's my strategy in a nutshell. I see a stock going up and I buy it, and I just watch it until it stops going up, and then I sell it, and I do that over and over, and it pays for our whole lifestyle.
All right, my good friends, let me give you the official welcome to another edition of Happy Hour with Doug. If this is your first time cruising by, this is where I will do my best to answer all of your stock market related questions. I will tell tales and rant of stock market topics, and I will certainly do my best to share my 2 decades of trading experience with you guys just to make you more successful, more well-rounded traders. And today, that's what you're going to get, my 2 decades of experience, because I'm about to warn you of what lies ahead. Now, obviously, you've seen the video there to begin this whole thing. And we've now entered this wild, that's not even a good enough word, this bizarre, maybe that's not even a good enough word, market that just continues to defy logic, any logic. And what we've seen today in trading, as I'm doing this on this Friday, is the absolute epicenter, the pinnacle of all psychotic trading that I think I've seen. And guys, I've been around since the dot-coms. Today we saw things like GameStop. What's up with this? Vuzi, Fubo, cheap stocks abound, flying abound. And if you go back to my last week's happy hour, I highlighted why some of this has happened. Because the Fed single-handedly created one of the largest asset bubbles. No, not one of them. The largest asset bubble in the history of mankind. Now, don't get me wrong. As I go on, I'm not a hater of bubbles. But my job is to warn people from experience. Now, I know you've always got the cliche saying of this time is different, but no, it's never different. Sometimes they last longer, sometimes they last less, but it's never different. History is always going to repeat itself. And at some time, this fiddle that plays will end. It will stop. And where will you be? And that's what I'm here to talk about. So one of the things that I can kind of remember, now I'm going to go back and start talking a little bit about my dot-com days. I'm going to date it. Now, first I want you guys to know this as well. What happened in the dot-com is not going to happen here. This was a much different time. And I kind of explained that back in my video last week. If you go back, I was talking about why does the market continue to go so much higher while economic numbers look so bad. Now, if you didn't see that video, I'll post a link here somewhere. But real quickly, it was basically because the Fed's policies. The Fed has propped up the market. Tax cuts went to the ultra wealthy who control most of the assets, and they really don't have anywhere else to put their money. Now we've entered this era where a lot of new traders have come into this market. And that's a great thing because some of you are going to do really well and you're making a lot of money. And that's, again, I want to repeat, I'm not against bubbles. I'm not a hater here. And I know a lot of you have made a lot of money. And you're like, why should I listen to this old guy? I get that. I'm just trying to help you keep what you got. So let's go back to the year 2099 when I started. Now, I certainly don't think this time is going to be like that when we look at bubbles. I've had the opportunity to live through 2 of them, now this 3rd one, and a bunch of minor bubbles in there. Anyway, back then, the Fed didn't help the markets. They could give a damn. It was like, you lose money in the stock market, congrats to you, that's what you get for trading. There was no help. There was companies that went out of business. We all know the stories back then. If you don't do some research, all these dot-coms came out and it was like all these IPO, very similar to what you're seeing now. If the word said IPO and it was a dot-com business, stuff went crazy. And some of it even went worse than what you're seeing right now. And then you got into the year of 2008 where, once that was corrected, you went through this whole process. You go back to 2008 and it was like this real estate bubble then. And of course, we all know what happened then in the financial crisis. And based on my last video, that's what set the precedence for where we are now. Now, when I say the Fed's created the largest asset bubble of all time, normally there's one asset bubble, like it's stocks. It's Cabbage Patch Dolls for you older people. Or it's like real estate. Now it's everything. It's real estate. It's stocks. It's Bitcoin. It's anything and everything is in this mass bubble. It's like money is being thrown everywhere, across the board, at everything. So we've reached this time that we haven't seen before. Now, one of the things that's gotten into traders and investors' minds since 2008 is that the Fed will back them up. And that's true to a certain degree. But even us old timers start to see the disconnect. Because if you're somebody that has entered trading past the month of April of 2020, what you are witnessing now is a once in a lifetime, probably a once in a generation event where the market is just defying all logic and hitting on all cylinders. Now, I know people hate to hear that because I was once one of those young, cocky, insane young traders, and I heard the same tunes in my ear in Y2K. I heard, hey man, the market's gonna crash. Hey, these stocks are trading too high on their valuations. But we all did this. Why did we all do this? Because we were making bank, bro. We didn't want to hear the naysayers. We said the same thing the young group's saying to the old people now. You guys are too old. Stocks only go up. You know who I'm talking about. Picking on the old Warren Buffett because he wasn't part of this whole charade of .coms. That's all we kept talking about. Old school. We're the new blood. Well, where's Warren Buffett at now? The point is this, guys. Here are a few clues that we see where things have just gone way too far. We used to have this joke a long time ago. I hate bringing up the old days, but we learned from history that if the stock market made the front page of the newspaper, trouble was a-brewing. Because once everybody knew about it, the game was up. Now everybody becomes a professional stock trader. You've got like these weirdos I showed you just now talking about how insane. I hope this is a joke. I hope this is a spoof that you think stock market trading is so easy. You just buy when it goes up and then sell when it goes down. Really? You have Carol Haskins from whatever that show is, the Tiger King, giving pump and dump. You've got all kinds of celebrities talking about stocks. What does that mean? Historically, that's a bad sign. And now as I'm doing this on a Friday, like I said just a minute ago, all of these little small stocks have gone ballistic. Now, normally what happens, and let me explain to you what I have learned, okay? Again, one thing I want you to know is this. We do not pick tops and bottoms. I have no idea when this bubble's going to be over. I'm not that guy. I'm not that trader that says, hey, this must correct. The top is in. No, because I have learned my hardcore lessons that, you know, one of the best sayings at all in the market that most of us know about, it can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. If this thing wants to keep going, it will. If the Fed keeps pumping money, it will. This bubble could last an awful lot longer. But it is human nature across the board in all aspects of life ever in history that prices will reach an epic point where even the powers that be will say, this is too much for us to pay. We're not. We want to get the market to come down. And you younger traders, you should really want the market to come down so you can rebuy these assets at lower prices. So kind of keep that in mind. But one of the things I'm looking at is as more people come into the market, it's okay to be part of a bubble. I'm invested in a lot of these companies. I would say investing. I'm trading some of these companies here. I love bubbles. I like to take advantage of bubbles. But one thing that I've learned is I've always said to traders, especially the newer ones, is this. It's okay to trade even junk. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's okay to trade anything as long as you know exactly what you're getting into. When you're mistaking something like Elon Musk's tweet about Signal, the app, and then you see this company that has one employee, the owner is like living in their basement, and the stock goes from a fraction of a penny all the way up to $70, you know we've reached a psycho point. When you see a GME go from a few bucks, go from like all-time lows to all-time highs in just like a few months, you know you're in a different atmosphere. Now, I know there's always going to be the ones out there, we talked about this with the Tesla thing in the short, there's always going to be the fundamental argument. But at some point when things have moved this far, this fast, the fundamental argument doesn't exist anymore. The same thing happened in the real estate bubble of '08. Everybody all of a sudden became a real estate professional. You had people just showing up out of nowhere deciding, hey, we want to be in the real estate business. And from there, you had the surgence of real estate people that were selling loans. You had a surge in that employment. Everybody had some money in their pocket. The regular, Joe and Jane, people with no real estate experience, were buying houses on all of the credit that they could buy and trying to flip those. Everybody became a professional. Now everybody becomes a professional trader. Everybody's starting a service. Everybody's acting like they all know how to trade for long. And some of you do, but some of you don't. And the only reason I warn you from this is because all market crashes work the same. They normally come by when nobody thinks. It's only when everything just looks so good. And again, guys, I know you don't want to hear it because you're making bank, bro. You don't want to hear it, but I need you to hear it. It's okay to participate, but make no mistake. What you're witnessing right now in the market with the sheer ignorance of the traders and investors out there, if you've made money, you should kiss the ground. Pray to the trading gods that you were so lucky to buy a cheap bankrupt marijuana stock that quadrupled itself. Consider yourself lucky. Don't confuse luck for skill. And please, sell some of that shit before there isn't any left. Because here's what I want to say. Again, I'm not hating. I'm just passing because I've traded some of this stuff. But the point is, I know when the music will stop. And I'm not going to get in the game of musical chairs. I'm not holding the bag. But I did in 2000. And it all worked the same ways because once it started to go down, I was sort of like in shock. I didn't believe that the market was going to go down. And then I go nowhere else because I don't have any experience. I looked to CNBC and Money Magazine. And they're like, buy the dip. All right, I'll buy some more dip. So rather than selling, I added more risk. The next thing you know, I don't have an account. Now, there's awfully a lot more to that story than just that. But here's what I do want to warn you of, in all seriousness. All corrections do work the same. They're fast and they're brutal. And in the blink of an eye, literally, everything that you're seeing in the gain for your account is gone. It's gone. And it probably won't come back for a while, especially if you're in speculative assets. Now, if you don't know what that is, you've got your blue chippers, but these little cheap stocks are seasonal and they're speculative. And most of them aren't worth the paper they're traded on. Again, that doesn't mean you can't make money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on anybody for making money. Good for you. But take that money and learn. Learn. What hurts me more than anything, I don't care how much money. I don't care if you started 10 days ago and you're making more than me. I really don't. I'm comfortable in my own skin with what I do. Because I've been here I know I'm going to be here forever because I have been. But part of me feels obligated because of what I did go through. It was very hard in the years of 2002, 3, and 4 after blowing up an account to just psychologically like myself. I mean, it was so bad that, you had some dark thoughts. Losing sleep was occasional, all the time. It was, I could go really deep with this. It was tragedy. Where my mind was, my self-talk, where my emotions were, the dark and deep things that went through this brain and how my ego was just broken, how I was broken as a person. And it didn't take very long for that to happen. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy. And that's why I'm warning you. Play it, have fun with it, enjoy it while it lasts. But this, like everything else in the world, will finally come to an end at some point. And the other thing about these market crashes is when they do happen, not only are they so fast and brutal, like I said, it always happens on the crappiest news. It always happens when you're least expecting it, on something that you would think it wouldn't sell off on. You just never know. And again, I've told this story before. It wasn't like in the year of 99 and 2000 that people weren't saying the market was overbought. It wasn't like nobody was on to the game like, oh, these things are trading too hot. This is unsustainable. And you had people mocking that. I was one of those people like, yeah, right, whatever. It's a different era. It caught up. It wasn't like in 2005 and 6, they weren't talking about a real estate crisis. These things take time. Tops take time to develop And I don't know what stage that we're in. I don't know how the next quarter is going to. I just do know this. Have fun while it lasts. Don't ever, ever be that person that spits in the face of the market, because you will be humbled by this thing. And you have no idea how evil and how dirty and how this thing could butcher you up from one end to the next. It'll do so with no mercy. Even if you think you're special, you're not, because this market has humbled smarter, more sophisticated, and more intelligent people than us. And it will. Oh, it will do it again. So here's this. As I wrap it up, and I had a little fun with you, just be careful out there, guys. Take some profits on the way up. Take some profits. You got to sell some of this stuff. This is abnormal, what's happening. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's not going to last forever. And in the long run, this is not a viable investment and trading strategy. It does not work like this all the time. Just don't get caught out. Take you some profits, be cool, and never disrespect the market. Because one day she'll spank you, and you wish you never would have met her.